Hello everyone, this is Mr. Souza and today you're going to learn how to factor by AC method. First step here is make sure your trinomial is written on this format here, ax squared plus bx plus c. So your a term is going to be 3, your b is going to be 11, and c is going to be 10. So your next step is to multiply a times c. Your a term is 3. Your c is 10. So 3 times 10, that will give you 30. Once you do that, your next step is to list the factors of 30. So if you do 30 divided by 1, that gives you 30. By 2, you get 15. 30 divided by 3, that's 10. 4 is a decimal, so we're going to skip 4. And then 30 divided by 5 will give you 6. And we stop here because your next number will be 6 and 5. We already have them here. Now, once you have all your factors listed, you have to see which pair that when you combine, when you add them together, will give you 11. And in this case, it's going to be 5 and 6 because 5 times 6 makes 30. And 5 plus 6 makes 11. So your next step is the first term. You're going to bring it down the way it is. You're not going to change anything. So 3x squared. The last term you do the same. You just bring it down. However, the middle term you're going to split into two parts. So you're going to get 5 and 6. The order does not really matter. So let's go ahead and write 5x plus 6x. Why do they have x? Because the middle term has x. Once you have this, you might want to check out the lesson on factor by grouping because that's all we have to do from now on. So this lesson is identical to factor by grouping. The only difference is we have to do this one extra step that we just did. So from here to the end, you're just going to split this into two teams, similar to what we did on factor by grouping. So you have the red team and the blue team. So looking at the red team, the GCF is going to be X, or you could say 1X. So just write X. If you divide both terms by X, that's going to give you 3X plus 5. And then we're going to look at the blue team now, switching colors. 6x plus 10, the GCF, greatest common factor, is going to be 2. So we put a plus 2. You divide both terms of the blue team by 2, and that's going to give us 3x plus 5. Okay. Very important step. You have to make sure whatever's inside the parentheses match. Again, if it does not match, you did something wrong. So you put them together, 3x plus 5. And the terms outside, you put them together as well. So x plus 2. And that's how we factor by AC method. Please pause the video and try question number 2. Welcome back everyone. Now we're going to go over question number 2. So same procedure, we do A times C, which in this case it's going to be 5 times 6 which happens to also give you 30. Factors of 30, we can recycle the numbers from question 1. And that's a tricky one to use. Always make sure you check what factors you have, because it may happen that you have the same factors as a question that you did earlier. So when doing a homework or a test, you can save a lot of time by doing this. So now that you have that, you have to see which pair is going to give you 13 when you add them. And in this case, it's going to be 3 and 10, because 3 times 10 gives you 30, and 3 plus 10 gives you 13. So once you have that, you're going to bring the first term down, which is 5x squared. You bring the last term down, which is plus 6. And then the middle term you're going to split. So 3x and 10x. The order does not matter as long as you have those two terms. So you could do 3x plus 10x, or you could do 10x plus 3x. Once you have this done, it's similar to factor by grouping. You're doing the same steps. So we're going to go ahead and get the red color. So you have the red team right here. 5x squared plus 3x, your GCF is going to be x. You factor out x, and then you're left with 5x plus 3. And now we're going to switch colors. We're going to do blue now. So blue team, you have 10x plus 6. Your greatest common factor in this case, it's going to be 2. So you factor out 2. Divide both terms by 2, and you're left with 5x plus 3. Next step, you have to make sure whatever's inside the parentheses match. And in this case, they do. 5x plus 3. So you're going to bring them down like this. And the terms outside, x and 2, you put them together. So x plus 2. And that's how we factor by AC method. Okay. So proceeding to question number 3 now. It's going to be similar, but now we have different signs. So please go ahead, pause the video, and try question number 3. Hello everyone, welcome back. Now we're going to go over question number 3. So we do A times C again. Your A is going to be 3. Your C is 4. 3 times 4 is 12. So now we have to list the factors of 12. However, notice the middle is no longer a positive number. It's negative. That means your both numbers we have to be negative, because negative times negative makes positive. And a negative added to another negative is a bigger negative number. So factors of 12, you have negative 1, negative 12, negative 2, negative 6, negative 3, negative 4. So in this case, we're going to use these two numbers right here, because again, when you multiply them, that's going to give you positive 12. And when you combine those numbers, that's going to give you negative 8. So next step, first term, you're going to bring it down. So 3x squared. The last term, you bring it down. And then the middle, you're going to split. So minus 3x minus 4x. From here is just factoring by grouping. So red team here. GCF is going to be 3x. You divide both terms by 3x. That's going to give you x minus 1. Very common mistake, by the way. Students tend to not put a 1 there, thinking that 3x and 3x would just disappear. You cannot do that. 3x divided by 3x makes 1. So now we're going to switch colors. Blue team now, same idea. Factor out the GCF. Keep in mind your leading term is negative, so we got to pull out the negative. So negative 4. Divide both terms by negative 4. You end up with x minus 1. Notice the terms match. That's a good thing. It means we're on the right track. So you're going to bring the x minus 1 down. So x minus 1. And then the terms outside, you put them together. So 3x minus 4. And again, the order does not matter. You can have 3x minus 4, x minus 1, or you can swap them around and have x minus 1 and then 3x minus 4. So please go ahead, pause the video, and try question number 4. Welcome back. Now we're going to go over question number 4. So AC, that's going to be 3 times 8, which will give us 24. Similar to question 3, you're going to have two negative numbers. So negative 1 goes with negative 24. 24 divided by 2 is 12. By 3 is 8. 4 is 6. 5 is a decimal, so we don't do 5. And 6 is already there, so we can stop. So now again, we need two numbers. Multiply give you 24. And when you combine them, will give you negative 14. In this case, it's going to be negative 2 and negative 12. Circle those two numbers. Your first term, you're going to bring it down. So 3x squared. Last term, you do the same thing. Bring it down. One thing you might want to do whenever you take notes, make sure you do not write it squishy. So try to spread out the terms. So again, these two numbers. So minus 2x minus 12x. And then from here is just factor by grouping. So I'm going to go ahead and get red. So you have the red team here. GCF is going to be x. They both have x. Once you factor out the GCF, which is x, you'll be left with 3x minus 2. And then we switch to blue team. Make sure you underline the last two terms. Again, leading term is negative. Make sure you pull out the negative. 12 and 8 GCF is 4. So you're going to pull out a negative 4. Divide both terms by negative 4. And you're going to be left with 3x minus 2. Switching colors again. Again, make sure the terms inside the parentheses match. And they do, so we can bring them down. 3x minus 2. And the factors outside, you also put them together. So x minus 4. And this is how we do question number 4. So we're going to proceed to the last part of the lesson, math, common math misconceptions. A very common math misconception is forgetting to factor out a negative term. So if we look at question 4 again, from this step right here. So let's say you have 3x squared minus 2x minus 12x plus 8. So I'm just going to kind of copy the steps here. So the first one we had x and 3x minus 2. A very common mistake students do is they forget to factor out the negative. Given that your leading term is negative, you must factor out the negative. And if you don't, so you end up with something like this, plus 4. And then when you divide each term by 4, you're going to get negative 3x plus 2. And that's not going to match, so don't do that. That's bad, right? Another mistake students do is they just assume that the second factor is going to match, so they don't actually check the steps and they don't do the work. So make sure you always divide by whatever the GCF is and make sure the terms inside the parentheses match.